Blake. How are you doing?
We love you, Blake. How are you feeling? How are you feeling?
Are you hoping to settle?
On February 11th, 2026, Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni were in the same building for the first time since this whole thing started. A federal courthouse in Manhattan, 14th floor, separate courtrooms, separate entrances, separate exits. Neither one said a word to the cameras. They spent an entire day trying to settle this behind closed doors. It didn't work.
Okay. Are you hopeful for the rest of the case?
The case will move forward.
Are you hopeful
Am I hopeful about what?
about how the case will proceed?
Oh yeah, I'm very
So Brian, you guys didn't reach a settlement today?
Not today. No.
So tomorrow.
No settlement reached today.
So Friday? Or will this go to trial?
We'll see.
But there's still a chance of settlement?
There's always a chance.
Is everyone required to come back?
It'll be on a different matter.
But everyone will be back.
I don't know that we will.
You think this will go to
We're
trial?
done with us.
Brian, do you
Move
think
forward.
this will go to trial?
Thanks. I do. I'm looking forward to it.
Baldoni's attorney walked out to the press and said, quote, "We were unsuccessful in reaching any kind of resolution." When a reporter asked him if this case was going to trial, he said 2 words, "I do. We're looking forward to it." This is no longer a celebrity feud. This is a $500 million war with leaked private texts, A-list celebrities dragged into depositions, a smear campaign that was written down in actual documents, and a movie about domestic violence that is now at the center of real abuse allegations. And the thing that makes this story unlike anything we've seen before, neither side looks good, not even close. To understand how 2 people ended up on opposite sides of a courtroom, you have to go back to the movie. It Ends with Us, based on Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel about a woman named Lily Bloom who falls in love with a neurosurgeon named Rao Kincaid, only to realize he's abusive. It's a story about recognizing the cycle of domestic violence and having the courage to leave. The irony of what happened next is almost too perfect. In July 2019, Justin Baldoni, an actor and director best known for the TV show Jane the Virgin and his motivational content about masculinity, announced he'd acquired the rights to adapt the novel through his production company, Wayfarer Studios. He was going to direct it and play Ryle. In January 2023, Blake Lively was cast as Lily Bloom. It was Baldoni's decision to cast her, and for what it's worth, Colleen Hoover was on board. She was brought on as an executive producer. Filming began in Hoboken, New Jersey in May 2023, and according to what would later come out in court filings, the problem started almost immediately. Lively's legal team later claimed that Baldoni entered her makeup trailer uninvited while she was undressed, including at least once while she was breastfeeding. They alleged he improvised unapproved kissing during scenes, discussed his past pornography addiction in front of her, and that Wayfarer CEO Jamie Heath showed her an unsolicited video of his wife giving birth. In her own deposition, Lively said plainly, "I think the actions that I'm describing are pretty obviously sexual harassment." Baldoni has denied all of it. In private texts that were later released, he seemed genuinely confused by the allegations, writing that most of what he was being accused of was, quote, social awkwardness and impulsive speech, and attributed some of it to his neurodivergence. But here's where it gets complicated, because what happened off camera may have been worse than anything that allegedly happened on set. Before filming resumed after the 2023 Hollywood strikes, Blake Lively came prepared. On January 4, 2024, a meeting was held. Lively, Baldoni, Sony Pictures, Wayfarer Studios executives, publicists, producers, they were all in the room, and Lively brought a list. Reports say it was originally described as 30 demands. Later filings referred to a 17-point list. Either way, the message was clear. Among those demands, no more showing nude videos or images to Blake or her staff. No more discussing pornography addiction. No more describing personal genitalia. No more improvising kissing or intimate scenes. And no more entering her trailer uninvited. Now, depending on which side you believe, that list was either a completely reasonable set of workplace safety boundaries from a woman who had been harassed, or it was the ultimatum of someone who wanted total creative control over a film she didn't direct. When Sony's executive vice president of production, Andrea Giannetti, learned that Lively had threatened to walk off the film if the demands weren't met, she had a reaction that later made it into her deposition. She called Blake Lively a fricking terrorist. Sony's Motion Pictures Group president Sanford Panitch called her epic-level stupid in an email to colleagues. But here's the twist. That same Andrea Giannetti, After the movie opened to $50 million at the box office, she texted Lively personally, "Your blood, sweat, tears, brilliant smarts, heart and soul in every single frame. My God, it's incredible. Hollywood." The film came out in August 2024. It made $350 million worldwide on a $25 million budget. By any measure, it was a massive hit. But the press tour was a disaster. Fans noticed it immediately. Lively was doing interviews with the rest of the cast, Jenny Slate, Brandon Sclaner, Isabella Ferrer, but Baldoni was nowhere near them. He was doing solo press. They weren't following each other on social media. Something was clearly wrong. And then Blake Lively started getting destroyed online. Lively was criticized for promoting the film in a light-hearted way, pushing her hair care brand Blake Brown, talking about fashion, telling people to grab your friends and wear your florals to a movie about a woman being beaten by her husband. The internet turned on her hard, but according to Lively's lawsuit, that backlash wasn't entirely organic. Her legal team obtained text messages between Baldoni's personal publicist, Jennifer Abel, and a crisis management expert he'd hired named Melissa Nathan. Nathan had previously worked for Johnny Depp during his legal battles with Amber Heard, and the texts paint a picture. Abel texted Nathan about Baldoni, saying he wants to feel like she can be buried. Nathan responded carefully, "We can't write, we will destroy her." Imagine if a document saying all the things that he wants ends up in the wrong hands. And then she added, "You know we can bury anyone." On August 4th, Abel wrote, "I'm having reckless thoughts of wanting to plant pieces this week of how horrible Blake is to work with." By August 9th, they were celebrating. Abel asked, "So are we in the clear now?" "Did we survive?" Nathan replied, "We survived. All press is so overwhelming. We've confused people. So much mixed messaging. It's actually really funny if you think about it." Then came the Daily Mail headline, "Is Blake Lively set to be cancelled?" Abel texted Nathan about it, "Wow, you really outdid yourself with this piece." Nathan responded, "That's why you hired me, right? I'm the best." Now, Baldoni's team has pushed back on all of this hard. They say those texts were cherry-picked and taken out of context. They say Nathan later clarified she had nothing to do with the Daily Mail piece and that her "I'm the best" text was sarcastic. They point to an omitted upside-down smiley emoji that they say changes the tone entirely. Abel posted in a private Facebook group that, quote, "No negative press was ever facilitated, no social combat plan. The internet was doing the work for us." But those texts exist. They're in the court record, and the New York Times ran them as the centerpiece of a December 2024 exposé with one of the most devastating headlines in celebrity journalism history: "We can bury anyone inside a Hollywood smear machine." If the PR texts were the gasoline, the unsealed celebrity messages were the match. On January 20th, 2026, a massive trove of court documents was unsealed ahead of a summary judgment hearing, and what was in those documents pulled some of the biggest names in entertainment directly into the blast radius. Start with Taylor Swift. In April 2023, Lively texted her best friend about Baldoni, "This doofus director of my movie." She called him a clown, who thinks he's a writer now. Then she asked Swift to read the revised script before Baldoni arrived at her apartment. "If you get here while this doofus director of my movie is still here, I'll be ushering him out." Swift obliged, texting Lively, "I'll do anything for you." Then, in December 2024, just weeks before the lawsuit went public, backed at it like Swift's message read, "I think this bitch knows something is coming because he's gotten out his tiny violin." Lively responded by confirming things were on track. 2 weeks later, she filed her complaint. But Swift wasn't the only one enlisted. On May 17, 2024, Blake and Ryan Reynolds texted Matt and Lucy Damon asking for support against Baldoni's cut of the film. Reynolds described Baldoni as, and this is a direct quote from court filings, "a malignantly vain sociopathic FAUXminist with almost no sense of boundaries or shame. I cannot believe he hasn't gone to jail." That same day, Lively texted Ben Affleck separately, calling Baldoni a chaotic clown director and citing wild HR issues on set. She also reportedly reached out to Anna Wintour and Bradley Cooper. Baldoni's legal team tried to subpoena Taylor Swift, arguing that Lively had used Swift and Reynolds to coerce him into accepting her rewrite of the film. They alleged Lively blackmailed Swift with the threat of leaking private text messages to secure her public support. The court shut it down. The judge condemned the subpoena attempt as an abuse of process, and Baldoni withdrew it. But the damage was done. Those texts are public now. And they showed something that made a lot of people uncomfortable, that behind the scenes, Lively wasn't just a victim. She was also a strategist, texting A-listers, building alliances, calling her director a clown and a doofus in group chats, while simultaneously producing his film and kissing him on camera. That doesn't mean the harassment didn't happen, but it does complicate the narrative. And the internet noticed. Here's the thing no one wants to admit about this case. Both of them are losing. Justin Baldoni was dropped by his talent agency within hours of the New York Times article. His $400 million countersuit against Lively and Reynolds? Dismissed. He missed his deadline to refile. His lawsuit against the New York Times? Also dismissed. The judge didn't even evaluate the facts. He found Lively's accusations legally protected because they were part of a legal proceeding. As of right now, only Lively's claims are going to trial. Baldoni will be defending, not attacking. His production company, Wayfarer Studios, is in limbo. His career as Hollywood's self-proclaimed feminist director is, for all practical purposes, over. But Blake Lively isn't winning either, not in the court of public opinion. Crisis PR expert Eleanor McManus said it plainly. She's taken a huge reputational hit, and now she's seen by a lot of studios as a lightning rod. Her hair care company, Blake Brown, reportedly saw sales drop nearly 80% in August 2024 during the height of the backlash. Old interviews resurfaced where she came across as dismissive and condescending. Former staffers of her old website Preserve went public in 2025 alleging a toxic work environment, with one reportedly receiving a settlement of up to $300,000. And it's not just her. Ryan Reynolds, America's favorite sarcastic dad, is feeling it too. Paramount reportedly dropped 3 projects linked to Reynolds, including an Area 51 film, a Ferris Bueller spin-off, and a children's book adaptation. Sources say it's hard to separate the Skydance-Paramount merger from the Lively fallout, but the timing is impossible to ignore. Sources told the Daily Mail that Lively is now scared. She's fearing no one will want to work with her after this. And then there's the testimony from the people who were actually there. Co-star Jenny Slate, in her September 2025 deposition, called it a really gross and disturbing shoot. She said she was one of many who feel this way. When asked about a comment Baldoni made to her on set, "I can say this because my wife is here, but you look sexy in what you're wearing," Slate called it not appropriate in any workplace, adding that the comment was about me, not my character. "It wasn't useful for my work. It was unwanted." That testimony matters, because it means Lively isn't the only woman who had a problem with Baldoni's behavior on that set. And if more witnesses step forward before May, the trial could get a lot worse for him. Now, to be fair, this case isn't simple, and anyone who tells you one side is entirely the villain hasn't been paying attention. Baldoni's team has argued that the harassment claims amount to, quote, minor grievances that don't meet the legal standard of being severe or pervasive enough to constitute workplace harassment. They point to the fact that the same Friends writers' room precedent from 2006 set the bar extremely high for what counts as actionable harassment in a creative environment. And honestly, legally they might have a point. They also point out that Lively wasn't some powerless actress being pushed around. She was a producer on the film. She had script approval. She had Ryan Reynolds rewrite scenes, including a key rooftop sequence. She enlisted Taylor Swift, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Anna Wintour, and Bradley Cooper to lobby on her behalf. She went over Baldoni's head to Sony, and when Baldoni's cut of the movie tested better with audiences, she pushed forward with her version anyway. That doesn't erase what may have happened on set, but it does paint a picture of someone with enormous power and a willingness to use it. On the other side, no matter how you spin the PR texts, the optics are catastrophic. Having your crisis manager write, "You know we can bury anyone" in a text message is the kind of thing that wins cases. Whether or not a formal smear campaign was ever implemented, the intent was documented. That's what juries remember. And the fact that Baldoni built his brand on being a male feminist, a man who gave TED Talks about redefining masculinity, who made a career out of empowering women, only makes the allegations hit harder, whether they're true or not. As of right now, the trial is set for May 18, 2026 in federal court in New York City. Judge Louis Lehman is overseeing the case. He's already imposed a gag order on both sides after threatening to move the trial date up if attorneys kept fighting in the press. He's still considering whether to throw out parts of Lively's complaint before trial through a summary judgment ruling. If it goes to trial and after the failed mediation on February 11th, it's looking more likely than ever this will be one of the most closely watched celebrity trials in years. Not because of the fame involved, but because of what it could mean for Hollywood. This case could set new standards for what counts as harassment on a film set. It could redefine the line between creative freedom and workplace misconduct. Or it could settle quietly in the next few weeks and we'll never hear about it again, but somehow I doubt that. A movie about a woman escaping an abusive relationship turned into a real-life legal war about power, manipulation, and control. The leaked texts showed us that neither side was innocent. The PR machine showed us how reputations are manufactured and destroyed. And the courtroom showed us that when two powerful people go to war, there are no winners, just wreckage. And that wreckage, it's just getting started. If you made it to the end, consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you don't miss part 2 when this trial begins. And drop a comment below telling me, who do you think is telling the truth? Because honestly, I'm not sure anyone is.